Good morning, welcome to day 9 of the FEM-ATHON. Please come on in and please announce yourself as you arrive so that we can engage with each other in our discussion today. An important discussion, an important part of dispelling misconceptions about feminine power. I am drinking a 1,000-mile Wu Yi Rock Oolong. That is a mouthful, and it is a mouthful, and it's delicious. I think some of you know that I'm a bit of a tea nerd, tea geek. So this is something I actually import from China. Yeah. I have to create something for you about the tea piece at some stage. So say hello, let me know you're there. Always love your engagement as we connect here today on day 9 of the FEM-ATHON. So whilst you're coming in, and or if you are new here, you've actually jumped into a 15-day FEM-ATHON, which basically is our daily live streams, videos, and the grand finale is a day of masterclasses with me. It's a 90-minute masterclass I'm conducting 3 times next Monday. I'm going to put the link below here so that you can, in fact I'll do that now, so that you can sign up now for that. Let me just pop that in there. The reason why I'm wanting to encourage you to sign up now to enroll and reserve your seat is for a few reasons. There are limited seats for each masterclass, so make sure that you sign up at a time that you know you can turn up. And I'm going to be talking to you about what I consider, and I have seen again and again, the 3 massive mistakes women continue to make that keep them on this gerbil wheel of exhaustion, overwhelm, and heading to burnout. Now, the reason why I'm doing it under that title and that topic is that those are some of the biggest symptoms that are degrading your own inner experience of yourself, your authentic self, and your feminine power. I'm basically, during the FEM-ATHON, going to be discussing, dispelling, and dispersing many of the myths, mistakes, and misconceptions that I've seen that so many women come to me around their perception, at least, of feminine power and energy. Essentially, what we're answering the question here this 15 days is, how the heck did we get here as women? And what do we need to do to fully embrace our feminine essence and soul again? So I've put a link below in the comments section on how to sign up for the masterclass next Monday. Please enroll yourself now. I want to make sure that you do get a seat. You need to enroll, and you need to actually turn up, even if you can't watch the full masterclass, or there will not be any replays. But if you do turn up, you will have access to a replay, okay? Now, another reason why I'm encouraging you to sign up now is that you're actually going to be sent daily videos from me preceding the masterclass, and these are going to be little snapshot short videos that cover with you some of the core myths and misconceptions in a really bite-sized chunk form, and to get you juiced up and ready and waiting for the masterclass. Okay, all right, so say hello if you're on board, and I'm going to continue here today because we've got a very important topic here to discuss. Let me have a sip of tea. Today, I'm going to be discussing with you 10 common misconceptions of what the feminine is about. It's 10 common misconceptions about what the feminine is about. Now let's start here. And I gathered this from my own experience and my recollection of what I thought feminine things were. Especially when I was a big corporate diva back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was, that sort of ball-busting corporate woman with a briefcase. Yes, I had a briefcase. I had the $1,000 suits on. I had my blonde hair tied back tight, either in a ponytail or a bun. Always the black high-heeled shoes. I was that person. And I was kind of a ball buster, right? But I remember this one incident when I was walking through the lift lobby, you know, of one of those giant corporate buildings. And, you know, where there's a hustle and bustle of hundreds of people walking around to and fro from the lifts, going outside. And I remember noticing one thing. First thing about myself, I would carve my way through those lift lobbies like I owned the place. And I had a lot of, you know, fuck off energy on me. So it's like, I've got my shit together, but I'm not taking any attention from anybody else. And then I wondered why I wasn't landing the kind of man or relationship that I wanted, okay? I was, in short, exuding man mode energy that came with a big push away to most of the men around me. I then observed in my early embryonic stages of, you know, sort of watching out the feminine, that these men were ending up with very feminine women. Now, my eyes, or the lens through which I saw these women, was a lens of great judgment. As in, I judged them as being some of these 10 misconceptions, and or I really wasn't seeing their feminine power. I didn't know how to see that. I had no role models. I had no mentorship. I had no examples of the feminine being a powerful experience or thing to be as a woman. So I remember seeing some of these very powerful men with these women that I believed were, you know, less intelligent than me, less capable than me, less successful than me. And like, why did they like that kind of woman? Now, I don't know that that was true because I didn't meet them. I just saw them and I saw their feminine energy and I judged it. I judged it through a certain lens, okay? And we could call that through the lens of the masculine, the man mode in myself, or in fact, the lens of an aspect of my own false feminine at the time, okay? So some of you know that the way I developed the feminine archetypes model was through the lens of astrology. I've been trained in a very particular type of astrology for over 20 years, almost 22 years. And in this type of astrology, we are taught to look at the planetary forces, they're called, behind an astrology chart in a way where you can see both what's called the lower mode and the higher mode of all of the planetary forces, and then all of the relationships between them, okay? Fascinating, actually. You know, when I work with my private clients, I'll often do their astrology chart if I work with them long enough, because it tells me a lot about them, some of the burdens that they're carrying, and also how to elevate them toward their higher mode of their planetary forces. So hence was given birth to the feminine archetypes model, where I had this huge epiphany that firstly, feminine, masculine, so much confusion out there. People are just so confused about what those things mean. They have judgments about them. It ends up becoming all about antagonism and, you know, this is better than that. It's not true. When I realized that, oh, there's a lower mode and a higher mode of masculine and feminine, and this is one of the main reasons there's so much confusion about your feminine power in this, that's where everything really clarified for me. Now, when we talk about the feminine archetypes model in this world, in the powerfully feminine world here, it's a model. It's a way for us to experience ourselves through, have clarity about what's going on, and also a lens through which we can observe other people. Yep. Okay, so let's dive into our topic today, which is the 10 misconceptions that so many people have about feminine power. And I am going to list them off here. So here are the 10 common misconceptions about what feminine means. Weak, dependent, manipulative, drama-filled or dramatic, bossy, greedy, volatile, ineffective, shrinking or being underneath, or servitude. Now just let those words sink into you there a little bit. Just let them sink in and see if you have had any judgments inside you around the feminine that sound a bit like some of those words or those concepts. Now the thing is, those things I just described, now, of course, are real things, and we've all experienced that in other people or in fact in ourselves at times. It's just that they represent one of two things. They represent either the false feminine or what I'm describing as the lower feminine, okay? Now, what we want to make sure doesn't happen when we work with this model of the feminine archetypes is that then becomes a judgment about that. Let's just take it on a sort of more objective observation mode that, oh, I wonder if when a woman is being volatile, it might be because she's fallen into the false feminine. And I'm wondering, I'm curious as to what's behind that. What's creating this drama or this volatility? Now, I know the answer to that. The answer to that is her needs aren't being met. Now, and that's for one of two reasons. She either doesn't know her needs, as in she hasn't actually taken a deep dive into desire, and or she doesn't know how to ask for her needs, okay? When a woman discovers her needs and her desires, owns them, embodies them, and knows how to speak them out and ask for them, she doesn't need to be dramatic or volatile or demanding, okay? All right, so I want to check in on you where you're at this stage, lovelies. Truffy, hello. Noreen, hello. Welcome, welcome. All right. So I want to know if you have any questions at this stage. Okay, so let me continue whilst you are thinking about any questions. And if you are watching this on a replay, please put your questions below. What I'm doing during the FEM-ATHON here is I am illustrating different aspects of the feminine, myths, mistakes, and misconceptions. But I'm also going to be illuminating a little bit more about the feminine archetypes model. So if, like me, you found yourself walking through the world thinking that your power was only coming from the masculine part of yourself, the masculine polarity, and that you're through this lens, that you only saw the feminine polarity as some of these 10 misconceptions, then the problem is you're missing out on a whole world of the true level that you couldn't yet see. So what I'm here to do for you is to help to illuminate what the true feminine looks like and feels like. I'm not doing that today because today's story is about showing you how to observe the mistakes and misconceptions. As I say again and again, you cannot transform what you don't see, okay? So we need to see this first in ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to own, oh, perhaps I do kind of see the feminine a bit like that. And if you do see the feminine like some of these misconceptions, you probably don't really trust it in yourself or in others, right? That's kind of understandable, hey? I didn't trust it. I didn't know that there was something else behind what I was observing in that lift lobby. I didn't understand that that woman was actually really owning her feminine and that it was a beautiful thing that she knew how to have softer edges and that she knew how to receive his masculine into her. So what was I doing through the eyes and the sensitive energy perception of these men? I was pretty much a man. Now this is an interesting point because when you watched me walking around those lift lobbies, I was this 20-something blonde bombshell, full of confidence, very successful, and on paper I looked like I had it all together. On the inside, what was happening for me was I had chronic headaches, I was alone because I couldn't get the kind of relationship I wanted. I was very career focused, and so that took up a lot of my head space and my energy space. And then if we scratch the surface back a few steps, I was in a massive self-preservation cycle. I was coping, and I was defending aspects of myself. I was pretty caged up. I was defending my heart. I was, I didn't know myself. I didn't know myself on the inside. Again, on paper and on the outside, everything looked like she's got her shit together. She's totally got it made, right? And I could, as in M-A-D-E. Perhaps I actually was more of a corporate M-A-I-D, made, than I understood at the time. And some of the women that have worked with me know this concept I have, which is of the corporate maid, M-A-I-D, where you seem to look like you've got your stuff together on the outside, and yet you're totally under the pressure and the direction of the organization that you work for, and you really don't have any freedom or free will. So on that point that I just made, the reason why I illuminate these misconceptions, the reason why I'm here and I illuminate what I call in this model the false feminine, is in order for you to understand and see and feel in yourself that in the false feminine you are in a world of, it's a vicious circle. There's this inevitable sort of roundabout that you go on. And again, if you're anything like me, I felt that soft, gooey center that I am really about in my private time on my own, and sometimes going to sleep at night or waking up in the night where I felt very sad and very separate and very alone and lost. I, at the time, wasn't yet on my spiritual path, and something was aching and yearning inside me for something real, for some sense of deep connection, for the ability to be powerful, feel powerful, but be authentic at the same time, and to not perceive that I had to choose between these two things, that they were not antagonistic concepts. So the reason why I speak about this model for you is, as you stand up in the Queen, and eventually at mastery level of the Priestess, which as far as I'm concerned is a lifetime of training, then you are standing in something authentic and real. You don't feel like you're having to pretzel yourself into some shape that either a corporation or organization makes you go into, or your socioeconomic conditioning forces you into, or a relationship forces you into, or a family forces you into. These levels of conditioning that you don't know that you have until you do a deep dive into desire and discover what they are. And this is why desire, for example, the art of desire, is one of the 5 core feminine arts. And in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive, I take you through a whole process of discovery of the conditioning, of discovering of what I call the shallow levels of desire, and then owning all of these pieces that have got you there where you think you want what you want. But then when you actually take a deep dive into desire, what you start to discover is, whoa, I think I want things that I haven't been taught about. I think I want things that are not necessarily part of my socio-religious or economic background or upbringing. I think that I'm a different person than I often present to the world. So you see, it's my interest above all and everything. Throw all the models out for a second. My interest here is for you to be able to be yourself, to stand in yourself, to feel yourself, to embody yourself, in order that you can then confidently, gracefully, and joyfully walk through life. A life that you get to express a sense of meaning and purpose, and perhaps even mission for some of you. Okay. Hello, Noreen. Hello, Candy. Layla, beautiful. Layla says, it really resonates, defending especially my boundaries. Interesting question there, Layla, because boundaries are actually the hallmark of the Queen. The thing is, the maid and the princess actually don't know their boundaries, or if they have them, they feel like they need to defend them from a defensive stance. The thing is, when you have mastery from the queen, you are crystal clear of where your boundary edges are. You don't feel like you need to do a push in order to defend the boundary. What you do instead is you don't react when a boundary gets hit. You just can clearly and cleanly say, this is not okay for me, or this is not what I want. Or if we were talking about masculine, feminine dynamics, you would speak in the positive desire. You'd say, I want this, rather than that situation. What I would like, what I desire is this. Now, I teach you all how to do that in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive. There's a whole way to identify the desires, then learn how to speak them. Not the topic of our conversation today exactly. Okay, do you have any more questions on our topic today? The 10 misconceptions about feminine power. Oh, I made a strong tea this morning, ladies. Good. So I've touched on it here, but essentially what we're saying is the antidote to these misconceptions of what feminine means, or what you have perceived previously feminine to mean, is the stepping from the false feminine or false masculine, even misconceptions, like a certain lens that you've possibly been indoctrinated to believe, or unconsciously believe, or have been taught actively to believe, any of those, to actually realizing that the true feminine is something very, very different. It's a different order of magnitude. You go from being inside the forest, right, and not being able to see the forest for the trees, to elevating yourself in a stance where you literally can see the whole game being played, okay? And there's often a game being played at the false feminine, false masculine level. And then you can also perceive a much broader vista of yourself, your life, your purpose, your sense of who you really are, and others around you. And one of the things I emphasize again and again here inside of our group is, from the level and the perception of yourself at the level of the queen, it's patently aware that there is no competition. You don't need to compromise yourself. You don't need to put other people down. There's plenty of space for everybody to be in their true feminine or their true masculine. There's no need to fight. There's no need to compete. There is only an encouraging of others upwards into themselves, toward their light, toward their true authentic nature. Good morning, Layla. Oh, thanks, she says. Yes, good, good. All right, let's keep this a little bit shorter here today. And I want to finish with this quote from Marianne Williamson. Something amazing happens when we surrender and just love. We melt into another world, a realm of power already within us. The world changes when we change. The world softens when we soften. The world loves us when we choose to love the world. And on that note, much, much love from me to you. We can all do this together in sisterhood, and I will see you back here tomorrow on tomorrow's day 10 of our FEM-ATHON. Much love and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.